Hello, welcome to Caddy's Corner. This one's going to be a normal babble and walk and talk. I definitely am not back in the vibe of living my life in New York. I left my backpack in the apartment, decided if I had to go back and get it. There's nothing really important except my bar key that I open bottles with. I have my makeup in my bag because I didn't even get that done before I left. I did do my hair nice and fluffy. Have it wrapped up so it'll be straight when I get to work. Anyway, forgot my scarf, forgot my backpack. Whatever, I kissed Phil a bunch, so at least I didn't forget that. I had a real perspective shift in my life, which I think has made it hard to come back and just keep doing what I was always doing every single day. Again, with ease. And that's a good thing. I don't know if everybody knows this. If you've been watching the social media feed, and I got to go to St. Croix for 10 days after visiting my family in Knoxville, Tennessee for 4. So it was a long, great vacation. I got a full 2 weeks off. And I haven't had a real break like that in a decade at least. And really not even then, because when I went to California, I was had my own bookkeeping firm and I still had to do the payables for the client on Friday. And so in California time, I had to be up at like 4 a.m. to do that. So this was a real different experience for me. And it was gorgeous down there and the people were amazing and there were a lot of challenges. I was, I think, kind of clear in sharing that it wasn't easy the whole time. No vacation, no travel ever really is, right? But what a blessing. I mean, I've got this beautiful sunset kind of happening now. There's puffy clouds. The moon is out already. I'm ready to take on the challenges of 2020. I'm continuing my work. I've listened to some really good YouTube videos while I was getting ready today. I started watching this new Netflix series, new to me anyway. This is the Dolly Parton one-off. So I watched the first one called Jolene. It was very interesting. If you know my history, it's very interesting. So I don't know, I'm picking the inspirations everywhere and really trying hard to let some stuff go that hurt my heart. Some of those things are stuff I didn't get right, but some of them were other people's stories, other people's opinions of things or events, how they're coping with their lives now, their challenges now, how they handled their relationship with me. And I can only be responsible for me. And I have a tendency to take on other people and other people's problems. I love helping people, but that became, as I've discussed before here, the martyr complex. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a martyr-victim spiral. And I would suggest doing some, if it rings a bell of like, wait, what? It's when you do for others and feel like you're never appreciated is, I guess, the summary of it. But it spirals you in this loop, and then you just get angrier and angrier. It's a giant rage spiral. And at least for 2020, I'm pretty determined to let all the rage spirals go. So when there are offenses towards me, I try to pull back, not take it personally. That's very important. And also, it's a phrase, psychic energy. Psychic energy is when you have an ongoing thought pattern in your head, and like when something has happened and you have been hurt by it, or it's trauma, or you know something about somebody, or you have something you want resolved with someone, you don't know how to face them or how to negotiate or navigate it, you'll spend a lot of time thinking about it. And psychic doesn't always necessarily mean I'm going to pay you $5 to give me a crystal healing and tell me when I'm going to fall in love. That's not, there's energy that we expend by being hyper-focused on something. And I think that when you have a bucket that's in front of you of offenses, people who've offended you, well, I would never do that to them. And I gave them this and they didn't give me this back, or I wouldn't have done that, or I would have done this, or they should have this, should have, right? It just grows. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you are looking for people to offend you, they will always offend you. And I live in a town where the walk from work to the bus can have 10 offenses on it if I look for them. But it can also have 10 blessings on it. and I can have 1,000 blessings in a day and wonderful interactions. And that's what happened last night. It was a slow night at Montero's. It ended up snowing for like 6 hours. And there I was a day after being in 80 to 90 degree weather with the beautiful blue seas and the beautiful puffy clouds and the blue sky. I am then walking my way home from work with these fluffy little flecky flakes. It wasn't sticking on the ground, but it was sticking to trees and signs, and they just had that mystical, magical, sparkly quality that snow has as it first falls. And boy, what a different perspective about life that is. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. That's my babble for today. My hope for today is that you are, as always, mindful. Be mindful of your own martyr spirals if you're apt to helping too many people too often, not taking care of yourself. And be mindful of your psychic energy. Where are you spending it? I want to spend mine on love, so I've chosen that. Just like with your budget in life, if you choose to go to McDonald's for breakfast every single morning, that's money out of your budget every single day. Well, if you choose to spend your energy being angry at people for cutting you off on the road, or walking too slow on the sidewalk, or not calling you often enough, or texting you often enough, or whatever, then that's anger. And you're going to stay angry and be more angry, and when you're angry about the person who didn't text you, you're going to get madder at the person on the road. So let's just assume best intentions, that everyone's struggling a little bit, and you don't know what kind of a bad day someone's having. On that flight, when I met the little 3-year-old girl next to me, I didn't even know when I first met them that they had been, nearly their whole party didn't get on the plane. They were going to be missing their flight to DC, so they were going to have to stay in Miami for the night. The little girl had not had a nap, so she'd been up for like 10 hours already, and she didn't sleep on the plane. And I gave her some of my snacks, and we, chit-chatted and colored and all of that. And the mom just kept going, thank you, thank you, thank you. She's like, you never know who you're going to sit next to. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. And, I was like, well, I'm grateful to have met Sachimo, because she was a beautiful little girl. Very spunky. Very funny. So I could have been annoyed by this kid trying to talk to me for 3 hours, but instead I embraced it. And I even told the mom, I was a little worried after I started talking to her. I was like, oh, anyway, bus is here, gotta go. Have a blessed day. Thanks for joining me in Gabbyland. Bye.